Right, YouTube, it's been a long minute. So if you haven't seen me since the days of the Active channel, this is what I look like now, 50 years old, and it's come a long way since the days of filming for YouTube on the Active channel. But I wanted to try and get some like real day in the life sort of blogs done here, just so you can see what it's like if you're over 50 or over 40, you're a man with a couple of businesses, you might have a couple of kids like me, you might have more struggles than what you generally see on Instagram with all of these creators and on YouTube, which are in their 20s and 30s and showing their daily like go-tos in the daily life to stay in shape and to be super fit. But they haven't got the stress of kids, they haven't got responsibilities of school runs, after school clubs. Life is different as you get older. There's more stress and our bodies are actually so much different. Now, when I was in my 20s and 30s and I was filming on the Active channel, it was just about calories in versus calories out. It's really as simple as that. The more work you do, the harder you train, the more precise you are with your food. If you ate more food, you could gain more muscle. If you had a holiday coming up or you had a photo shoot or whatever the reason was to diet down, you could just cut the calories down and your body would generally go up or down in the right directions just by pushing forward and really working hard. Now, as I've got older and as I've got into my 40s and now into my 50s, that simply does not work. And I know there's lots of guys at home that are just like me in that same age bracket and they're banging their heads and thinking, why the F am I not getting in shape? Summer's coming, it's not far away. This period of time is often really when everyone locks in and think, oh, I've got a holiday in 2 weeks, a holiday in 10 weeks. And they decide that they want to go on to kind of a journey of dropping some body fat, having more confidence, feeling more, energy and so on, and look and feel better in a pair of like shorts on the beach or at the pool. Now, that doesn't happen by just crashing out on your diet, dropping calories, starving yourself, because what they'll do as we get older is just crush our hormones. Now, the biggest play I've seen for men over 40s is not to look at the short win, but look at the lifestyle change. And that's massively important, is we have to look at changing our lifestyle habits, not just for the next holiday or the next summer, but so that we can get in great shape and stay there and build on that. So the best years of our life are certainly not behind us, and don't give in to that, that theory that we're just getting older. You do feel a lot flatter, you will have lower testosterone, you'll have a lower metabolism. And that is the case for many because you're allowing society to dictate that for you. But for me, there is no way in my world I'm going to think that the best years are behind me. I want the best years ahead of me, something to look forward to, something to get out of bed to, something to get out of bed for even, and really like embrace the day. Like look at the opportunities that we still have, even if we're in our 40s and maybe our metabolism has crashed slightly, or digestion's off, or we're bloated, or we're drinking too many beers, whatever it may be, we can still be in fantastic shape. But you have to have a moment of clarity. Often, in what I've seen with working with over 3,000 clients now in 30 years of coaching, is we need a reason. Everyone has a moment, and that moment really then heeds the process of making change. Now, habits are bloody hard to change. And most of us fall into these victim of our habits. But if we can break the habits, we can really fix the system. But breaking habits doesn't mean that, okay, I've had a bad weekend, it's Monday, I'm going to start my new habits, and you do it for several days. You might even get to the next weekend, and guess what? Them habits of old are still really strong and they still really pull on you. So you go back to leaving, the right choices of food on the weekend. You don't get as much exercise. You might go out and socialize, and I'm all for that, but we need to keep it in balance. So we want ideally a lifestyle change, and that means like an 80-20 balance. Meaning if you follow the program, follow the plan, follow what's good for your body and for your health and for your energy and hormones 80% of the time, you can have 20% freedom to enjoy those things. Now, my 10-year-old boy has just turned 10 actually. It's his birthday, so he's had birthday cake. Now, when I was a competitive bodybuilder in my 20s, but I still compete today in my 50s, I wouldn't have embraced and enjoyed in the moment with my son and had cake, because it's not on my plan, and I'm absolutely dedicated specific to the goal of bodybuilding, but you lose out on life. And so what I've also found with working with lifestyle clients is this echoes really so solidly from almost everyone. Now, if we're too restricted, we overdo the program or we over diet, what will tend to happen is that we'll end up crashing at some point, losing motivation, get fed up of seeing a Tupperware to eat out of, and then go on a binge. Feel bad and terrible after several days or weeks or whatever the binge length has been for you, and then decide to then come back into a dieting phase and clean up and eat super clean and maybe go on fasting or drop all your carbs. And all of this stuff in the long term is not going to help, because you're creating a bad association with food, and that sort of food starvation binge sort of program and process continues. So we need to look at having some freedom to enjoy some parts of, normal life, so that we don't feel left out and ultra restricted. And with anything, whether it's freedom and socializing, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's getting in great shape, we want to do everything in moderation, otherwise you'll end up crashing and burning out on any of those things. So if we have a little bit of freedom and we have a little bit of the foods that we enjoy, or some downtime, or a few nights out, whatever it might be, you're not going to feel deprived of those things. And if we do it in moderation, know we can have it again in several days' time or in a week's time, you're then going to feel like you're not missing out, and you still make fantastic progress. So this is first thing in the morning, real life in my house. Now, it's a bank holiday, which is giving me the time to get this YouTube restarted, but also it's a slower day for me. Now, as most guys at home that are over 40, like me, you've probably got kids, and the mornings are an absolute hectic rush for me. So I've got two boys, one's 10, one's 14, I'm a single dad. And that means that I have my boys full time, all the time. Their mum's not around, she passed on us many years ago. And so it becomes very difficult when the onus is on me. And so in the mornings, my life has to get up super early, 5:30, because I want to have a coffee, have a moment of sort of clarity in the morning before the madness of school rush happens, and then get some exercise done. I've got a small gym at my house. I had to bring the gym to me because I can't leave my kids in bed and go off to the gym and come back, take them to school. Also, it's very time efficient, so I can get in there like I will shortly, do some cardio, do some mobility work, do some stretching. I also use an inversion table every day because I did break my back about 20 years ago now. And so if I don't stretch out my back and do some sort of manipulations there to keep my core strength tight, I will get issues with inflammation in my lower back from perhaps training or life or sitting at a desk all day, whatever it might be. And that causes sciatica, which is no fun to live with. But an inversion table for 3 minutes every morning, hanging upside down like a bat, has been a game changer. And if you've got back issues or you've got some disc issues, I've got 2 crushed discs from that back break that I had in an accident. And I've been able to not see an osteopath now for about 2 years, where I was spending silly amounts of money, maybe £80 probably every month at least, just to try and keep me moving. It didn't fix the issue. It would just undo some of the inflammation there and allow that sciatica to drop off. Now that's expensive and it never really did get fixed, but an inversion table every morning for just 3 minutes, I'm gold. So that means if you've got any issues like that at home and you're stuck in a similar boat, I would greatly advise you to give it a try. Get them on Amazon. They are fantastic. I wouldn't recommend them if they were not. So what does a morning look like for me in this day in the life? Well, first thing in the morning, what I'll do is I'll get up in nice and early before the world, and first thing I'll do is hydrate. So I'll have some water, stick in there some Bayer Mineral Gold salt, and I use a amino acid product from Amino Man. And if you want to use them, have a look on their website, aminoman.co.uk. Code Neale20 saves you 20%. They have a fantastic range of products, really high spec, 0 issues in your gut. So they're not full of sucralose, they're not full of artificial sweeteners or flavorings. And so they sit and digest super well, super clean. And this is massive if you're in your 40s, because almost everything in our energy starts in our gut. And if your gut microbiome is not happy and you've got issues with gut dysbiosis perhaps and bloating, often this comes from sucralose. And if you're into your gym or you're into your training, you'll find that almost every product from cream of rice to whey protein to amino acids to pre-workouts, they all contain sucralose. So do things like your sugar-free drinks, your Monsters and so on that everyone relies on, they're all full of sucralose. Now if you couple in the odd drink you might have as well with like a Robinson's or something like a sugar-free cordial, again you'll layer in more and more sucralose. And that is an absolute gut bomb. Generally, as we get older, we'll have more of a sensitive stomach, a sensitive belly. We need to remove these triggers, inflammatory issues, inflammatory artificial ingredients. Seed oils are a massive driver as well for problems, and so are two most common allergens in the Western world is often wheat and dairy. So if we can remove all of those and get ourselves feeling really good on the inside, our outside can really run forward. And it doesn't mean you can't ever have any of those foods I've just mentioned. You can never have a Monster again. I'm not saying that. I'm saying remember the 80-20 method. If we can remove that 8% of the time and you have the odd Monster, you have the odd sandwich, have the odd pasta dish, whatever it is, in that 20% bracket, you'll be golden long term. And that's the best way for you to see results, is to not inflame your body. So the two products I use, so come with me to the supplement cupboard. First thing in the morning, I can't recommend them enough, I have recommended these many times on Instagram, is Bayer Mineral Salt. You can get that on Amazon. Now that product there is a really high mineral salt, so you get all your electrolytes far cheaper than any of these overpriced supplement brands that are selling electrolytes with, guess what? Sucralose added for the flavouring. So you want to steer clear of that as much as you can because we're trying to remove sucralose. And this product here is really an all-in-one that I suggest taking first thing in the morning or after training. It's got all your amino acids in, it's got a whopping big dose of collagen, which our skin starts to lose as we age. It's also got electrolytes, and mainly the big factor that I love about this is it doesn't contain that dreaded word sucralose. So if we have that first thing in the morning, we will break the fast from sleeping 8, 10 hours or whatever it might be from that last meal, and we'll get them amino acids in the system really quickly, and we hydrate with some electrolytes. And that'll make your energy come up really rapidly fast in the morning, so you'll be more alert, have more cognition, something I would hugely recommend. Now, I would also have a serving of this post-workout because the amino acids it has got in there really do switch on that mTOR trigger, which is the anabolic response or the muscle growth response from breaking down muscle in the gym or training. And so you've got things like there like branched chain amino acids, HMB, what else have we got in here? Leucine, a high amount of leucine, which is massive to switch that trigger on, as well as some glutamine and other supplements in there that are fantastic. The flavour's good, give it a whirl, I highly recommend it. Sits fantastic on your digestive system. So I have to have a scoop of each of them in my Ninja Blast. If you've not used one of these, you want to get involved because it just whizzes up like a really great blender, but it's a travel version, it's small, it's easy to carry. And if you've ever had a shake or any of these sports supplements and you just shake them, they're very flat. They don't have that kind of richer, creamy consistency that often comes from blending. But don't over blend for hours because you'll whoop a load of air into the product and that can lead to bloating as well. So we want just enough of a mix, use some sense there. So once I've got that in place, I will then take my morning supplements. Now, if you look at this cupboard here, I don't know if you can see too well there, but there's a ton of morning supplements in there. And I use these twice a day. I take them in the morning and in the evening. There are a myriad of different supplements to either help with digestion, to help with any nutritional deficiencies, that's the right word, that I might miss from my daily diet, and to cover the bases there. And how do you know if you're deficient in a vitamin or a mineral? Well, that's where blood tests can come in and really have an overview and a look. Now, if you want to look even more into the data of your foods, and you do track your foods, I would massively recommend that you go on to your app store and download an app called Chronometer. It looks like an apple, but the colour is orange. I have to remember which way around to say that. So yeah, it's an apple shape, but it's coloured orange. If that's not confusing enough, don't know why they don't just do it as a green apple. However, it's on there. It's like MyFitnessPal, and I know everyone's recorded their food over time. But the great thing about Chronometer is it'll also record every micronutrient in your daily diet as well, looking at all the vitamins and minerals and so on that you're getting from the food choices that you're eating on a daily basis. And you'll see once you've logged in a few days of this where the deficiency is. Now, when I logged this in, I realised I very rarely eat any beta carotene or any vitamin A. I very rarely had any orange type foods in my diet. Didn't tend to eat carrots, didn't tend to eat sweet potatoes because I've carved up on sweet potatoes for a long time in competing, and it really does lose interest in eating them when you've eaten that amount. So now I'll make sure I have, which covers all my vitamin A, which was a deficiency, which was shown on Chronometer from logging my food, is just have simply one large carrot a day at some point in the day. Can eat it raw, can grate it on a meal, and one sweet potato, and that will cover my vitamin A, RDA over 100% for the day. And what you find with vitamins and minerals, if you're missing a small amount of one of those, or you're under the RDA, often your energy and your get up will be off, and you might not be able to pick where that's from. But when you make sure that all of your vitamins and minerals are covered, and the easiest way to track that is through the app Chronometer, you'll be able to make those changes by adding in a food. Now, why not just take a Centrum or one of these multivitamins? Because they don't work. Synthetic vitamins really hardly get uptaken, and it's not what you take in or what supplement you use, it's what you can utilize, which I'll forever go on about, and what you can absorb from that. That's really important. So it's not the quantity, it's the quality of what you can absorb, and that it really does stand true. So the best way of getting all your vitamins and minerals is going to come from nature's food. So single ingredient foods, as God, our creator, invented for us to have, which haven't been processed, which haven't been refined, like a raw carrot, like a sweet potato. Like these things will get so much vitamin A into your system if that's what you're deficient in. My point is that food really is nature's remedy. So let's look at food to fix the system, try and veer away from these protein powders and synthetic supplements when we can, and make sure we use real whole foods. You will feel better for it. Your body was designed for that. You'll see a big change. So that's normally the morning routine. And then I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning as well. Normally have 1 or 2 cups of filtered coffee. And then once I've finished this shake here, I'll go into the garage, jump on the exercise bike for a minimum of 30 minutes if I'm pushed for time, perhaps on a school run, and for 45 minutes when I've got that little bit of extra time, maybe I'm up early or it's a day away from school like this bank holiday today. So I'll get that done, and then I'll come back to you with what I'm having at meal 1, which I think is the most important meal of the day. Fasting has a place, it's fantastic at doing all sorts of great things for your body, especially improving blood sugar response, resetting insulin sensitivity, dropping gut inflammation, but it has a length of time that's important for. And I do stress this a lot. I don't think that anyone really needs to fast for more than 2 to 3 weeks. And a 16-hour fast has been shown to get the most benefits out of a fasting time. To do 24 hours or longer is just for the gram. It doesn't really have a huge, massive benefit. If your goal is physique development, you still need to get the right amount of nutrients in across the day. And we also want to ramp up our metabolism, which starts with exercise, and also food will improve your metabolism in the digestive process and wake it up. So in order to create a really healthy gut, we need a diverse gut microbiome, and that will come from eating a myriad of different foods, healthy single ingredient foods ideally, different colours. Think of your plates as, and your daily diet as, where can you see all the colours of the rainbow, like in terms of like the food colours, like I've mentioned with carrots, not just green veg, but orange veg, some peppers where you'll see yellows, and all other colours, so that we can really make sure that we're not missing a trick there. So with my breakfast, I think it's fantastic to reset your metabolism and have that. Generally, in the long run, if you do have to do a fasting process to reset any issues there, I'm all for that. Once they've been reset, I think the best fasting process that gets a balance of everything is 12 hours. So 12 hours fasting. If you ate at 8 o'clock last night, You could eat your following meal at 8 in the morning. That will leave enough of a digestive break to prevent any bloating and ensure your metabolism's awake for that meal the following day, without leaving too much time away where muscle can break down, especially if you're training hard. And if you're a man over 40, we must protect muscle more than life, because that's what will keep your metabolism and your testosterone and your hormones on your side. If you start to lose muscle, you'll start to gain body fat generally, and if body fat comes up, so does a dreaded estrogen that can come from that. And if your body is stressed through work or lack of sleep, again, estrogen will raise up, and that will really sabotage muscle growth and prevent you putting on any muscle for perhaps in workouts that you're already doing. So hopefully that's curbed some of that advice that you might have seen YouTubers make. After 30 years of coaching over 3,000 people, honestly, this is the best way, I think, in the long run, to look at changing your lifestyle. Now, remember, what I'm talking about is a lifestyle long term. It's not about fixing an immediate issue, and that's where some sort of diets that are on the internet can work. But in the long run, we want a balanced, diverse food diet that we can eat and enjoy generally on a daily basis. So stick with me. Let's see what else we get done today.